False
All right,
start.
we are live, folks. We're so glad that you're here with us today. We have a lot of great people here that are going to break down some deals for you. So I am going to pass it off to Kimberly, and she's going to introduce all of these wonderful folks for you. And I am going to head backstage.
Just then, my internet cut out, so we're going to roll with it. Hi, guys. I'm Kimberly. Welcome to the Live at 5 on Tuesday. I'm your host, Kimberly. I have two sides. My real estate side, I close, I connect, I collaborate, I do projects. My nursepreneur side, I'm a nurse by trade, 22 years, 32 years in healthcare. I'm also a keynote speaker. I'm a podcast host. I'm an author. I do ministry here in Southwest Michigan. I still teach CPR. And so I'm like the chameleon of all things. Today, I have the privilege of hosting a couple rad rock stars here. We're waiting on one more, but we've been having some tech difficulties. So at any time, you guys, this is live, it's organic, nothing is like scripted. So if we have technical difficulties, we will be right back. A big thanks goes out to the Morby Media team that makes this possible. It takes a small army of emails and texts and shenanigans and bantering back and forth to make this come off without a hitch. We've already run into some snags. So we are going to start off with Chuck, and you're going to see me like point because it's like the Brady Bunch. You like never know who to point to. We're going to get a little bit of backstory of how they got into real estate, what they were doing before, and just a little Cliff Note version of basically what they were doing before they joined this cool creative community. So first and foremost, welcome to Paul, Lily, Adam, and Chuck. Welcome to Live at 5 Creative. We're going to start with you, Chuck, Adam, and Lily. You guys had the deal together, correct? If I remember right. Awesome.
Yep, we did.
Cool. So
Yep.
what I want you guys to do, Chuck and Adam and Lily, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you were doing before real estate, what got you into this community, and then we'll go down to Adam, and then we'll head over to Lily.
Awesome. So my name is Chuck Crawley. I am in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Got into real estate about 2 years ago. Before real estate, I was in the tech world, so doing websites, email, all of that fun stuff.
Cool.
COVID made me take a pivot like everybody else, and that's kind of what got me into the real estate, and it allowed me to focus more on some of the passions that I have in life. I have a nonprofit foundation where we work with a lot of youth and things like that.
Oh, cool.
So I only joined Sub2 March, so going on about 6 months now, March 25th. And my first real experience with the community was at Squad Up Summit, April. April 25th was actually my birthday weekend, so that was a fun weekend to really get to meet everybody inside of the community. Met some of Adam's team there, and I mean, just have hit the ground running ever since.
Nice. Awesome. Well, would you like to expand too on some of the youth you do? Because I do ministry too. So I'm always looking to connect with nonprofits and use different strategies and structures to help others. So what do you do for all the the pro bono work that you do outside of real estate?
Yeah, so absolutely. In 2016, there were just too many shootings, too many deaths among youth in our community.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of put an initiative together, and we created what was called the Big Bang Foundation. And the first thing that we did was we wanted to fight gun violence with books. So we started building the little book holders that go out in front of houses, the book shares, and we started placing them with books. And before I knew it, I literally had a garage filled up with books that just different publishers were sending and things like that. So we would just flip them out. We also keep one of the schools open in the area until 11 p.m. on Fridays. It's called Lights On, and it's just giving kids something different to do other than go outside and get in trouble. They can be supervised, different activities. There's gym, there's food, we feed them. We got a lot of awesome volunteers from the community who are rocking with us. So, and that's what really made me pivot toward real estate is I'm so involved in the community here in Cedar Rapids. It's like, I want to be here. I want to be there. I want to help with this. I want to help with that. But when you got that W-2, no. You're going to be here from 8 to 9 or however long they want.
And I see too, you're also a unicorn agent. So now you're in Iowa. Is your nonprofit in Iowa with all this amazing stuff? And I'm an author too. I have my second anthology coming out with my memoir thereafter. So I'd love to gift you some books too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we'd love it. And I'd have to connect you with one of my buddies, Jarrell Robinson, who's a part of this group. He's working on his first book. He was inspired by one of the speakers at the Clever Summit. So
nice. Awesome. And actually, I was just talking to Duran last episode. I'm in the process of helping men publish their first anthology. And it's going to be like He Rises Through Her, basically how let's stop the drama and the division with everything and come together to do better and do well for the community. So we'll definitely have to get on a call later, Chuck, and just talk all things nonprofit. Thank you so much for being the heart of your community. We need more Chucks in the world. Let's be clear. Can everyone agree we need more Chucks? Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. How about you, Adam? What were you doing before real estate? How you got into it? All the good stuff. You have your hat turned around backwards, so I know you mean business. And it looks like Haya is here too. So we will introduce her at some point when Alex brings her on.
Sure. Yeah. No, keep it casual with the backwards hat. Keep it loose. But yeah, I'm Adam. I'm from originally from Massachusetts.
Okay.
My background originally when I started, professional life was baseball. So I was in professional baseball for about 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And then kind of needed a life change, had kind of like a quarter life epiphany. I was giving up a lot of time, a lot of resources, and missing a lot of personal things. And, I was like, all right, there's got to be a little bit more to life than this. So wanted to make more money too. So ended up getting into sales, have been in that, since 2014. And then kind of to go along with Chuck, COVID hit in 2020 and, my way of thinking changed a lot. Where, I was sales, I was commission only. So the world stops, wasn't making money.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I was like,
thought about that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That
I
makes
can't
sense.
rely on 401ks, can't rely on Social Security anymore. Can't rely on what my parents did. So, it's like, all right, I got to do something different. That's when I got into real estate investing. Started with a couple properties conventionally, went that route, and then stumbled upon, Pace and Sub 2 through Bigger Pockets. Ended up joining May of last year, and then have met some incredible people, especially being in New England, we have a great group, Lily being one of them. And then met Chuck through the community as well. And then coincidentally enough, met my partners who live in Kentucky at BPCon last year. And, again, it was the community that kind of brought us together. So my partner, Tim Yu, who's also been on this show, as well as our other partner, Jake Crow. So, met some really good people and been hitting the ground running ever since.
Very cool. So what were you selling before COVID hit?
So I have a little bit more of a commercial finance background in the past 6 years, not non-real estate. So a lot of working with like SBA, equipment financing, lines of credit, things like that for like more small to medium-sized businesses.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's very helpful in this field, right? Like you're the guru of all things capital stacking. I love that. I'm definitely going to have to get a
I think that's kind of helped me too, like realize, because even, what I've realized too is giving back is one of the biggest things, obviously with Chuck's doing, I love hearing that stuff, and having the credit background and commercial lending experience I've had, I hope to like give back to people that don't know much about commercial lending or lending in general, and just people don't understand the credit reports, all this stuff that kind of banks make it too difficult for. And I think that was another reason why I was so attracted to this group, just because, the community, as well as, teaching people a skill that, hey, you don't have to do it this way.
Right. Yes. Color outside the lines. It's okay.
Yep.
As long as it's not too sloppy, right?
Right.
And you're using the right color.
Exactly.
Awesome. And so where are you located at? So you have partners in New England. And so then your other.
So I'm in New England. I'm north of Boston. I'm actually in Salem for all the Halloween lovers out there. But,
okay. I thought that was a boss. You sound a little bit, I lived in Philadelphia. So I have some East Coast ties like New York, my partner's in New York and Philly and stuff. And so who else is up there? There's Courtney J Rose up there. And
Courtney J Rose, yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shout
obviously, we got
Courtney.
Justin Tumanowski up in New England. We got a lot of great people up here in New England. Too many to count.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Lily, we're going to go down to you. I was already coveting your beautiful long black hair, but besides your great hair and your smile, I know you're just a killer top tier TC. I've seen you in the groups. I haven't really connected with you on this kind of level, but I've heard nothing but fabulous things about you. But I'm going to let you share in your own words. Just tell us a little bit about you, how you got into real estate, all the Cliff Note version.
Okay, I can do that. I love Cliff Notes.
I do
too. So my name is Lily. I am in Boston, Mass. Prior to real estate, I was an accountant, a revenue accountant for a tech company for 10 years. So around COVID too, we'll just sort of like we'll just go with the trend here. That was when things were sort of rough during that time. I think there was massive hire, and then there was also a massive layoff type of thing. So then that was when I pivoted over to real estate. I love killing trees. I was an accountant, a revenue account specifically. So I dealt with a lot of, sales, contract, and making sure that we're crossing the, T's, dotting out I's type of thing. And so this is very similar. I did not really have much experience in real estate besides just, long-term holding, the conventional type. And so this is really cool. And I think by being a transaction coordinator, it would open the door to just learning different things, from being the type of transaction out there of how people acquire the properties. And so it's really exciting. I think it's similar to accounting, but very different. I remember one of my girls, she asked me, she's like, oh, is it going to be boring, Lily? Like, I really don't want it to be boring. I'm like, this is anything but boring. So it is interesting, and you just learn something new every single time.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's so true. Like real estate, we were just talking before we went live, like I always reference nursing sometimes, and real estate's the same way. It's like equivalent a patient coding at shift change to your deal circling the drain before COE, right? And you're trying to save it with whatever measures and addendums and memorandums and all the personal guarantees that you can. So are you in other mentorships like sub 2 and Gator 2, or just top tier?
Yes, sub 2 and top tier.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. And you're from Massachusetts, did you say?
Yes.
Right?
Awesome.
Okay, very cool. So you have like the dream team here. You got closers at like sales, marketing, and like I was the only one working through COVID. And I saw the other. I saw the other end. I was too busy because I was out there on migrant outreach and working on farms and 3 layers of PPE and wearing, it's interesting to hear you guys versus what I was doing too, because I was just like, I too was kind of in real estate then at that point, but like not in it like I am now. So thank you guys for sharing. That's awesome. You guys, I can't wait to hear about these deals. We're going to go to Paul. Paul, you know the drill. Give us a 411 on Mr. Paul, where you're from, 411, Cliff Note version.
So I live in the Washington, D.C. metro area, about 40 miles west of D.C. I'm an economist by training. Was having a great career, onwards and upwards. Every job I got was better than the last, making more money, doing great. I was in a job that I thought, was rock solid, would never go away. Then the industry, I was in the mining industry, and the industry hit a pretty bad snag, and I lost my job.
Okay.
And so, so then it was kind of a crazy ride after that for a while, looking for work, when you kind of get to a certain stage in your career, the number of jobs at that level are small, right? There aren't very many jobs.
Sure.
So, but
right.
I found a couple. One of the jobs disappeared before I could even start it. Another one I landed, and then the organization disappeared before I could move out there.
Oh, wow.
So after that happened, my wife jokingly posted on Facebook, "Oh, I guess we'll start flipping houses now." And a friend of mine said, "Hey, I just started getting into that. You want to talk about it?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's talk." And so I was like, I'd seen the shows, the house flipping shows. I thought they were kind of interesting. And so joined up with the local RIA here in DC and kind of started my investing career. It's been about 6 years now. I've been fixing and flipping for that period of time with varied success. But things just weren't taking off for me, just weren't going. And the finances were getting a little worse and a little worse and a little worse and a little worse as we went along. And I heard the Bigger Pockets podcast that Pace was on about 2 years ago. And I was like, man, this is incredible stuff. But I don't have any money. I can't join, So I kept putting it off. But it was in the back of my head. This is something I'm going to do someday. And we got to the point where our finances were kind of just shot. I had just finished a rehab, sold it, didn't make nearly enough money. And then I was like, now what am I going to do? Last ditch effort. I'm joining Sub 2. And then that was in April, I guess, that I joined Sub 2, and off to the races since then. So yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. So what did you do in mining? That's like so you're an economist, but did you say that their job was like in mining? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I was in the mining industry. So I work for the trade association, the Mining Trade Association in Washington, D.C. for several years.
Okay, so very niche.
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did some of the forecasting and I was working with a bunch of lawyers. Basically, I was the only one who could do numbers, so I did a lot of kind of statistics type stuff and forecasting and working with other economists and forecasters in the industry with other big companies, mining companies, and that kind of stuff. And then when it came right down to it, they're like, we don't really need an economist. See ya. And
wow. So was that during COVID? Yeah. Was that around COVID too? The spiral.
It was before COVID. Yeah,
it was okay. Because you said 6 years. So okay, wow, it's hard to believe.
No, that was when. Yeah, so I had actually lost my job a couple years before COVID. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't know if there's anyone in here that wants to buy existing business. I always say when people say, "What's your buy box?" I'm like, anything that's Amazon proof, AI proof, COVID proof, recession proof, and to me that's healthcare and the trades, and backed by a tangible asset like real estate. So anytime you can combine a house with a business, like with care homes or whatever you're doing with it, that's my business. So awesome, Paul. Thank you so much for sharing. Hey, I hope I'm pronouncing your name wrong. We've already established I'm horrible with names.
Welcome. Yeah, well, Haya. Thank you for having me.
Haya.
Yay.
I love it. What's happening? Tell us a little bit about yourself. You missed a little bit, but we're just bantering back and forth, getting to know each other.
That's cool.
What you were doing before real estate and all the meaty gems.
So maybe I don't want to go back that far, but I've been in real estate investing for 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're an OG.
Yes, I'm an OG. And actually, I wanted to say a side note. I grew up in New York, so I'm from your general area. But I started 10 years ago, and prior to that, I had my own life coaching business. So I'm a certified life coach as well, which is really helpful when you're talking to sellers. Yes, prior to that, I was in direct marketing in the corporate world, working for, if you guys remember, BMG and Columbia House get 10 CDs for a penny.
Yes.
Yeah. So I worked there for several years. And so it was an awesome experience. But that was my history before getting into real estate. And I think all of it, and that's something I always tell people, they think, all right, I'm going to quit my job and do real estate and, cast aside everything I did in the past. But I always tell people, pull from your past. Whatever you did really well back then, that's your gift. Bring it into this that you're doing now. So all of those skills that I use from the marketing, I started out my career in finance, which is the last place I ever thought I'd be. But,
yeah, I know.
I pulled from all of those experiences, and all of it helps me now in the real estate investing space. And I think it all makes me a better investor as well. Able to talk to people, talk through different situations, et cetera, et cetera. I am based in the Washington, D.C. metro area, near where Paul is, or relatively close to where Paul is. And so for the first 8.5 years, we did deals primarily in this area, but now we have branched out to anywhere in the country. Our specialty is probate and unfindable sellers. So the really hairy transactions tend to find their way to us. They love us. And I actually love them. They're kind of stressful, but I love doing them. And they turn out to be the biggest profits, which we'll probably talk about a little bit in this one. But yes, those hairy deals, I love them. I have a degree in broadcast journalism. And so that research aspect of finding the gold, like that, it just all blends together and works here.
That's awesome. You sound almost like a little chameleon, like me. Like you've done a little bit of this, you look like you're 20 something. Like you're not even old enough to have like all these roles and stuff. I too am a life coach. I don't really. I'm actually coaching a few of the Morby Media team folks for an Ironman, because I've done 3 half Ironman. Yeah, but my nursing negotiating like with a surgeon or a doctor over a life and death situation has definitely come in handy when you're trying to talk to sellers and solve problems creatively. So I get you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's like, well, you're not dying, so I can definitely help you. We can work this out.
That part. And I love the Columbia, the meme that you were saying. Have you ever seen that one with Jesus over here? And he's like, I know you didn't give that 1 penny for those records. Have you seen that meme?
I haven't seen it, but that was my company.
Have you seen it, Chuck, Adam, Lily, or Paul, the meme that I'm talking about? Alex, you need to Google it and put it. It's so funny. It's his like little head coming like, I know you didn't pay a cent for those tapes or records or cassettes or whatever they were calling it back then.
Yeah, you know what? So, that actually, the whole thing, because it was direct marketing, it was very scientific. There was a whole lot of science and strategy that went behind it. So when I came to the real estate investing world and people are like, I'm spending $10,000 a month sending out direct mail. I'm like, wait, but what are you testing? Like how do you know this is performing? And I just couldn't get on board with that. I'm like, no, coming from that world, I'm like, we're not throwing spitballs at the wall.
Right. You need proof of concept. That's important for sure. Awesome. Well, you sound like a powerhouse. Can't wait to get to know you a little bit more. All right, guys, let's talk about deals. We're going to go over to Chuck, Adam, and Lily. So I don't know how you guys want to break this down, but if you just want to tell us a little bit about the deal, how you found it, who was involved in it, if there was any highlights, lenders, all the parts of the real estate deal. So however you guys want to like break that down, say okay with me.
Sure. So it kind of started with myself and my team. We had narrowed kind of our buy box and where we're going to be purchasing, and it ended up being Iowa. So this is a good example of just always on the lookout. Put yourself out there. Chuck had just, I think, joined Sub 2, and he did the introduction to Iowa and what he does, and it's just like, wow, coincidentally, like everything aligns. This guy's in Iowa, he's a realtor, and I'm also in the W2 as well. So, you need to balance your time and work smarter. So, here's a guy that has access to deals and he's in the market. So let's connect. Him and I connected, stayed in touch, and, he's very good even to this day about selling deals that he has. Usually I'm kind of the deal finder, underwriter, and then, my partners Tim and Jake balance each other out on like the closers, the acquisitions, the capital raising, and then the systems on the back end. So Chuck had this deal in Iowa City, so University of Iowa. It was a portfolio, so more bang for our buck. We could buy a bunch at one time instead of one at a time.
Right.
And it was, we were lucky to get it creatively, and Chuck's a big proponent of that for, having a good relationship with the seller to build their trust as well. But it ended up being a hybrid deal of a sub 2 as the seller finance. And to your point of there's always something that goes wrong in the deal, you have to be able to adapt, be a chameleon, think outside the box. We originally were going to start with this with a DSCR to give the seller a down payment and then do a seller finance hybrid deal on the back end with the other properties. So we get to the point where we're closing in 3 days and the lender pulls the deal from us for very poor reasons. For my lending background, there's no way you should be doing it that late in the game. Sure. It was really, they just didn't want the business or whatever the heck's going on with them at the time. You know, rates were going up, you know, they're maybe getting scared of deals, whatever it may be. So this is where you also have to have tough conversations head on. Don't run and hide from them. You know, I call Chuck immediately, let him know what's going on. And I say, listen, we can give the down payment still, but we're going to have to, if they can, convert this into a hybrid deal. You know, the 2 properties we're going to buy outright with the DSCR, if we can we restructure this? So again, with Chuck's background, you know, and his relationship with the seller, you know, we're able to, you know, work with the seller, get the deal done still. And it ended up, coincidentally enough, being a better deal for us too on the back end than having a, you know, 7.25 DSCR loan in place. We had a 4.1 you know, loan in place, and then a 3% seller finance carry on the back end.
Nice.
So awesome. Chuck was instrumental there, and obviously Lily, you know, couldn't have done that deal without her navigating it. You know, I was a kind of a tricky state. I'll let her talk more about that stuff. But I mean, I always tell people, like, if you're looking to do a deal, yeah, the TC, pay the money, don't cheap out for generic contracts, because you might as well go skydiving without a parachute if you're going to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm in all 3 mentorships too, and I hate TC work. I always say, like, the nurses' aides of, like, because you get blamed for everything, you don't get paid enough. Like, you're arguing your worth. You're usually wiping up, you know, all the stuff, right? You're the sweeper. So I would agree 100%. So you made a great point there, Adam. Leveraging your time. And Doron said this last week, like, return on time. When you have a W-2 and someone that doesn't, you have to have, all your team can't have W-2s, because who's going to be on the phone with escrow processor, the attorneys, the sellers, when things start circling the drain? Even sometimes when you have a TC on the case, it takes multiple people with multiple different talents to just get things to close. Like, I want to say, like, 70%. What is it, Lily? Like 70% of creative deals don't close. Isn't that what Molly mentions? Like it's 7 out of 10 that don't actually reach the closing table because there are so many moving points. And so, Chuck, how did you actually find the deal and have this relationship with the seller?
Yeah. So I'm in property management here in Cedar Rapids. I've been doing that for about 2 years. That's what shifted me into real estate.
Okay.
So it was just one of those things, is I'm kind of learning the way around property management, but then learning creative finance, doing the different seminars and the courses that Pace officers and all of that fun stuff. It really, and then coming down the squad up, it really made me want to start educating some of the sellers that we manage their portfolios. So we got over 100 different owners. I almost called them sellers because I feel like they're all sellers.
You can call them that. Bring it in. Yeah, let's manifest that. Bring them to me too.
But so as they would come into the office,
your Midwest friend.
Well, that's the thing, is I started out in like March, April, and June, and I'm like, I got to sell all of these deals, and now I'm like, I need to buy them all. So, but yeah, just as different owners would come into the property management company, whether it's collecting rents, checking on properties, whatever it was, I would just ask for 5 or 10 minutes of their time. And I was kind of had a background due to my broker on how they've been traditionally buying deals. And no one that we work with or manage is buying creatively. So just started educating them on it creatively. And every owner that would come in and I would talk to, he would give me 5 or 6 properties, and he'd be like, "Hey, Chuck, let's see what you can do with it. We're open to offers. We'll entertain whatever." And so that's when I started, posting them in the group, and the dialogue started happening with me and Adam, and got to meet Tim down there in person at Orlando for Squad Up. And from there, the rest has been history.
Wow, that is like a strategy that I haven't heard, and it never like really even occurred to me. If you're a property manager, it's just organically happening. Like, and that's like, I love that the best. Like, I don't go chase, like I say deals come to me. Usually someone has a problem that they can't solve, either if it's with capital or closing, and I usually solve that problem and I wedge myself in. I say I'm a professional wedger. I always find myself like into deals, whether it's lending, whether it's equity, whether it's a home, like I'm just that person. And it's like, as soon as I don't have something, like another one pops up, right? And then but I love that. Like, you're literally just having these really natural conversations with stuff that you're already doing. That's genius. Take note, people. Like, that's really cool. I never even thought of that. Wow. Very awesome.
Well, when anybody else is trying to get deals and things like that, I would absolutely contact property managers because they got big portfolios. They know what owners are moving and shaking, and there's just always somewhere to find a deal. So
yeah, agreed. That's amazing. All right, Lily, where'd your cat go? And what's your cat's name?
Callie, she is super hungry. Like, she's hangry. So
oh, that's okay. We all get hangry, including animals. Like, she's like up on my perch, like, what's my mom doing?
I know. She might be fighting with the shade later too. So.
Too funny. So to roll off of that, Adam had mentioned coming over to you to just kind of give us a highlight of some of the things maybe that you got tripped up on, not you personally, but like with the deal, like if there was any like weirdo things that happened, like tell us a little bit about TC in it. I would love to hear this. I can only imagine.
No, so this is a portfolio. And so it was, it's a lot, right? And then I think it's teamwork with Chuck, with Lucas, with Adam, Tim, and just everyone. It's a teamwork thing. And so it was super helpful too. Just, I think when it comes to, there's a lot of paperwork right now. You're like multiplying everything by like 6 total.
Right.
And I think initially too, it was, I think we had 4 properties that we were doing just creatively. And then at the last minute, Adam's like, Lily, it fell through. We're doing these creative too. It's like, oh, okay. So that was, it's a lot to do, but it was just with Chuck and his team, it was super helpful because again, they're in the property management too. And I think with Adam and Chuck, they were like, okay, let's creatively, like, how do we take care of this and try to like streamline some of the things, especially with Chuck and his really good relationship with the seller. It helped a lot. So there wasn't too much of a hiccup there. But it is, it's a funky state, right? I think you guys can attest to that.
What state again?
Iowa. So they have like an abstract, which is like very similar to like a title report, but it's basically the history of the property itself. And so the property management company, at least like they tend to, they like were able to locate where it is. And so it's much easier. I've ran into other files where it's like a lot of times they're like, oh, we have to start this whole thing from scratch. And it could take over like 30 days just getting it, especially like if the house or the property is super old, they have to start it from scratch. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. So is this just an Iowa rule? Because I've never done a deal in Iowa, but I've done deals like in New Orleans where they operate off that parish French law. And I have a trust that operates off a contract law. My kids are on the HUD and my settlers on the HUD. Like they do all, looking back, I don't even know how I pulled that off, but like, yeah. So like, is there any other,
I think we're only like one of 3 states left that still do those big old school abstracts, and those things are like this big.
I can only imagine. So, yeah,
I mean, 600-700 pages.
And for 6 properties,
like this out of that.
I remember Chuck sending me the
that was for one
with the photo, and I kind of internally freaked out. I'm like, first I was like, 1, thank God I don't have to deal with this. And 2,
right,
Lily's gonna kill me. Never want to work with me again.
Did Lily get a bonus?
I don't know.
Oh yeah. We got to make sure you take care of the people that
right. There's a bonus working with them.
More business maybe is your bonus. Now, Lily, do you work by yourself or do you work on a team?
I work with I have a small team under me. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you want to share your team, or do you have like a website or anything else or like that you want to share for your business, or anyone else too? Feel free to organically throw this out there because it's going to be on YouTube like forever. Oh, and Michelle's asking, hi, everyone. Happy to be here. What does it mean to be a unicorn agent? I'll let you finish up, Lily, and then I'll take it over to the uni.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that was basically it. It was just a teamwork. And I was, I think with just the fact that it's a heavy load of a file, right, of 6 properties and everything,
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for a better team to work with.
Awesome. So is there anything that you can do to prep and like knowing that you're going to have to pull these huge abstracts, or you just have to take it like childbirth and take it as it comes and pivot with purpose or scream or whatever?
I think, for anyone for me, since I've done it, it's actually my first file was in Iowa. So Iowa has a special spot in my heart for sure.
I bet. Special.
But, I think like for any other TCs, right? It's like, if you hear Iowa, the first thing you want to do is like locate that abstract. That's the first thing.
Okay. Oh, that's a good, yeah. Cause usually you say New York and people are like, So I was another one for the abstract. Good to know. Thank you for those nuggets. Anything else that we should know about Iowa? Like, who would have thought? Like, don't they just grow corn there?
So I think definitely don't be afraid of a deal on sale.
Ever. Like, ever. It can happen to you on a conventional, like JP Morgan be like, hey, I saw too much in your Amazon box due on sale clause, Kim. I mean, what are you going to do? Yeah. You go. All right. Michelle definitely wants to connect with you. Her IG is actually on her name, Michelle, too. We're going to take it over to Chuck and explain what a unicorn agent is.
Yeah. I'll be quick. So basically what a unicorn agent is a realtor or an agent who has an understanding of your traditional real estate as well as your creative real estate, and then take advantage of that to be an investor as well. So I also got a couple properties that I own myself, a couple short-term rentals, long-term rental. So it's just being able to navigate that space. And like I said, I started in property management. So I started only dealing with investors. To this day, I've still only had 2 of your traditional buying clients where they go get approved with a bank and they're like, hey, Chuck, take us around the city and show us all these beautiful, wonderful houses. So it's just having that education and that experience to be able to work with investors, find those creative deals, because it's a lot more different than going to your local bank, getting an FHA or a conventional loan, and then going house shopping.
Right.
A lot of these investors too, like the portfolio deal in Iowa City, is a lot of the times they're not in trouble, or it's not like they're looking to get out from under it. They're just looking to continue their portfolio and expand in different places. Maybe they learned that they liked single family homes more than condos, or vice versa. Maybe it's multifamily. So just being aware of the market, what investors are looking to do, and being able to help them while capitalizing on your portfolio as well.
Yeah, I love that explanation. And then too, they're called unicorns because they're rare. And so, like unicorns, like is it mystery? Is it fact, fiction, or fantasy? And that's very true, because like I'm liquidating my portfolio, a few houses, so I can do like one big project. So oftentimes you like level up or you move up, like let me rob Peter to pay Paul because I want to do this project. Or now my purpose has changed into philanthropy and I need like my profit to support my philanthropy. So that's a great explanation, Chuck. That's amazing. All right. So Paul and Haya, let's hear about your deal again, like however you guys want to structure it or be strategic with how you want to speak about it. Just take the floor.
Well, it's Mary. Go ahead, start.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. And I always like taking from Peter to pay Paul.
What's that?
I always like
say it wrong. Probably, I always do.
Yeah, he probably likes the pay Paul part. He likes that one.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this story started about 3 or 4 years ago. I was in this neighborhood. It's Brentwood, Maryland, is where the houses are located. Was going around to all the vacant houses, a lot of vacant houses, especially back then in Maryland and Prince George's County, trying to find the owners, locate the owners, knock on their doors, see if they wanted to sell. This particular vacant house happened to be right next door to the owner. So I went and knocked on his door. He was a very angry, grumpy man. He yelled at me, hated real estate investors. I'm sure his door had been knocked a million times. And his main beef was, though, that we would fix up properties and make their property taxes go up. So, yeah. So he basically shouted me off his porch. I'm like, okay, whatever, and left. That it happens. You just walk away from those and you don't worry about it. And, about a year and a half ago, I heard that he had passed away. I'd been in that neighborhood a lot. I'd actually gotten a couple other properties, rehabbed them, got to know a few people in the area, a real estate agent that lived a couple doors down from this guy. So I found out he had passed away. I mean, he was a bit infamous in the community, but so then I was like, okay, I know he's never been married. He has no kids. How do you buy a house like that? How do you get a hold of a property like that? And so I was in the midst of doing 2 rehabs at the same time. It was the first time I'd done that. I was really busy, but in the back of my mind, I kept kind of thinking about these properties. How can I get them? I had no idea. I saw one of them come up for a tax sale, and I thought, well, I could go, bid on it in the tax sale, but I don't really want to do that. That's not ideal. And about that time, I joined Sub 2 and jumped on one of the local Zoom calls. And so I asked the question. I said, does anybody on this Zoom call know how to deal with this situation, to find out how can I buy these properties, even with the owner passed away and with no apparent heirs? And a guy named Gustavo Salinas, who works with Haya, he chimed in. He says, oh, yeah, we know how to do that. And I'm like, great, let's do it. So he told me about Haya and her specialty, and she'll pick up here in a minute. And initially I was like, well, yeah. He told me a little bit about how it's done. I thought, well, maybe I can just figure out how to do it myself. And so just to back up a little bit, it was the vacant house, the house he lived in. And then after doing more research, I discovered that there was also his parents' house was sitting there. They had passed away. It was still in their name, but apparently he had just been paying the property taxes on it. So all these houses were in terrible shape. The one he lived in.
How many houses then altogether? 3?
3 houses. So there were 3 houses. 3 houses. Okay. Yeah. So so I initially was like, oh, I think I could probably do this myself. But thanks for kind of giving me a direction where to go. And then about a day after that, I was like, I need to partner on this. I need the help. I'm not going to make it. So I called Gustavo and I says, hey, I'm being kind of dumb, thinking I can do this myself. We should partner on it. So and then Haya ran with it. So it's all yours, Haya.
Yeah.
This sounds like a hairy deal.
Oh, it is hairy. Well, physically speaking, I mean, this property, well, these properties, 2 of them, the roof had caved in each one, and the floor had caved in. And in one of them, we made friends, Paul and I, because I just happened to pass by that day, and I wanted to just, eyeball the property, so I went in.
Sure.
But we made some new friends with the little baby Vulture that was living in one of the houses.
Get
and
out!
The dead raccoon.
Really? A vulture? Y'all have vultures in DC? Now, I wouldn't think there was like vultures flying around in DC. I mean,
when there's food and when there's a house with a dead raccoon, there certainly is a vulture. But since the roof had collapsed, I guess it was easy access for the vulture.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but this deal, there were, between the 2 properties, there were 14 abandoned cars that were, so abandoned that the weeds and the grass had grown around them, etc. So these are properties that a real estate agent is not going to say, oh, let me list this and I'll sell it tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that wasn't going to happen. But I had actually reached out to the family. So we actually had to do a genealogical search and go back to the beginning of the century. and well, no, the last century, to come forward with the heirs. And so we ended up with a list of 35 heirs on one side and 35 heirs on another side.
Wow.
So, but I think the key is really understanding what the law is, and that really is my specialty. You know, knowing what the law is and knowing where the loopholes are, and knowing where you can go next. And so I had actually called one of the family members, and we talked, and he was gung-ho about it, but he had his wife, and they were trying to say, oh, no, it's not about the money. Mind you, they had not seen the guy in 20 years, didn't have a relationship with him. It's, you know, about sentimental things. And I'm like, you live in Kentucky. You haven't seen the guy, you know, like in all these years. Right. It's not sentimental. Finally, it came out, I think it came out a day later. They thought they could go list it with a real estate agent and get, they thought it was worth, the 3 properties were worth $3 million. We're like, yeah, sure, in completely repaired condition. But currently with the Vulture and the collapsed roof and floor, not so much. And you can barely see the house because of all the vegetation. So this guy, you know, in our initial conversation, he said, I would never go around you or anything like that. But the next day he texted me essentially saying, we're going to go around you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And for me, like, if you tell me, if you put an obstacle in front of me, my nature is to go say, okay, knock it down. You know, I'm going to knock it down. And so I was like, okay, well, he thinks that he and his siblings are the only 5 heirs. So I'm going to let him go ahead and keep thinking that since he wants to go around me. And I went and I reached out to an heir on the other side because they have equal priority. They're both cousins at the same level. So talk to that heir. He understood because there was, the properties were in such, the yards were in such disrepair that the city had an abatement attached to it. So if they were going to go forward with their abatement ruling, that would add about $100,000 to each property's tax bill, which would make it not a deal. So that relative that I spoke with, the second one, he understood the severity of the problem and the fact that they were in tax sale status as well, and that there was limited time to act. So he was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. We got paperwork done, but then we had to go through a probate process, of course, dealing with someone who isn't the most technologically savvy, figuring out ways to solve for that. So in this, we had a transaction coordinator, but I was also doing that role partially. So Lily, I feel your pain. I did that role by myself for a long time in this business. It's a lot of work.
Terrible.
A lot of work. I mean, I enjoy it, but I mean, you don't just sit there pushing paper. There's a whole lot that goes into it. So we were doing all this, figuring out ways to get the contract and whatever supplemental paperwork we needed done from someone who couldn't do it by computer and, you know, couldn't really do stuff by text. So we got all of that done, went through the probate process, and I had relationships with people in the probate office as well. And so I was able to get things done. But because I knew what it took, I was able to cut out some of the time that it would take the other relative to figure out what to do with the probate paperwork, etc. Because he said, I'm going to go get an attorney and we're going to pursue this and whatever. So I think it was like a month later, he finally got an attorney. I'm like, you know, we've already gotten this guy appointed. We're heading towards closing. So that was the long and short of it. But we had our title company that we were using told us, oh, I have a buyer who's interested. That guy kind of kicked the bucket or kicked the wheels until like the day before we were supposed to close. And then he didn't perform, so we had to kick him out. But luckily, you know, the way I like to operate, I always like to be conservative with my numbers, plan for the worst. And so we had a backup buyer. And that backup buyer, I had been telling the guy who brought that buyer, I said, look, prepare her in case this doesn't work out, because if it doesn't, I'm going to need her to jump in right away and to be able to close in a couple days. And so we had to kick the other buyer out, pull this one in, and we were able to close, I think, within 3 days of that. So our profit on this total was a little over $300,000 plus. We made a loan to the buyer on some of the funds, and so we're going to get that back with interest down the road too.
Wow. That's like the MacGyver of like deals. And that's, and audience, if you're listening, this is the importance of getting your, whatever you're doing, whatever assets you have, put them in a trust, put them, whatever you want to do. Like mine, everything's in a trust with one, like my beneficiary. So when I go to heaven, like it goes to my business partner knows exactly what to do, and it goes to my kids. And so that way you don't have to create all this chaos in everyone's lives. And I wonder what the cousins are talking about now. Like, hey, they're like that's probably being talked around the dinner table.
You know, they are, and people really change when it's interesting to watch because when you're dealing with probate and people don't know there's money coming towards them, their attitude is completely different. Then when they hear, there's money I'm supposed to have, it changes. So the relatives now, when we closed, I heard from the one who was our, administrator. He said, yeah, they've been calling me left and right, and one is saying, I'm expecting my portion of the millions of dollars that this sold for. So luckily, I had told our guy, I said, look, I need you to make sure you're documenting everything that you're doing and acting in complete compliance with the probate process. So that none of this comes back to bite you down the road. But yeah, the family, they're definitely, they like money. Yeah, I mean, really, the sellers, a lot of times the sellers we work with in this business, they do want money, and there's nothing wrong with money, but there's a difference between that and greed changes how people behave in deals a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, I always say the love and lack of capital will always be the root of all evil. I've seen it at the bedside from nursing when people are arguing, like the guy's still on a ventilator and like family are getting Jerry Springer ghetto. And I'm like, dude, I'll call security. You're out. That's why I like the ICU, intubated, sedated, and restrained. And I'll kick you out. Right. Like that cat sitting up on that pedestal. Like that's my patient. I'm going to protect that pet. Like it's on a pedestal for a reason. Right. But I mean, I think people and I think a lot of times too, like people always think like investors, like they're slimy hedge fund, black rocks. They don't realize that we're everyday folks like ourselves. I don't even say that I'm an investor. I'm like, I'm a nurse by trade that solves problems creatively, whatever that problem is, with unique solutions. And I'm strategic and I structure things to make sense for both parties, whether that's we're talking about coaching, a book, a real estate deal, like the way that you approach people and the way that you can convey what you're trying to get across through contracts. And then guys, let's be clear, have your E&O, have your errors and omissions on your insurance for your businesses. And when I said like TC is terrible, it's not like it's the job. Like, I don't think I've TC'd a file from beginning to end. And I'm just like, no, that's what I mean by that word, is because there's so much that goes into it. Yeah. So many hours that you spend on the phone going back and forth. So yes, I love that. That was very MacGyver, Paul and Haya. That's cool. I can't wait to hear more about your deals, off screen. So wow. Dang. You guys are blowing my mind. I'm like learning every day. Are you guys learning today? I mean,
I hope so.
I am. We have like some stealth OGs and like everything else. Adam and Paul, are you buyers?
Yes.
Oh yeah, always buying, always looking to buy. Just has to be the right deal.
Drop your buybacks, like, and feel free. Where are you guys buying? Like, everyone, feel free to put what your buyback is for sure.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to join the chat.
Yeah, I can't either.
Sure, I'll start. We buy nationwide. I buy nationwide. Single family homes mostly, but also multifamily. We're looking at multifamily as well.
Nationwide as well, or is there like a region?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So nationwide.
Yeah, nationwide. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Same thing with you, Haya, or a different strategy?
Yeah, nationwide, but honestly, definitely nationwide. We will keep some properties, we, depending on the exit strategy, definitely want to look at creative deals as well, and anywhere in the country. Preferably, if I had to go see the properties, I'd like it to be somewhere that's not frozen in winter. But, that's just a personal preference.
Yeah, like my state.
Yeah.
Right. I live in a state shaped like a mitten, so I mean,
what can you expect, right?
Right, that part. What about you, Chuck, Adam, and Lily?
Chuck, as of right now, I'm only buying in Iowa, Cedar Rapids area where I'm at.
Okay.
Hopefully in the next couple of years, I'll go out to be a nationwide buyer, or maybe pick a market somewhere. So, but Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, that area, send me deals.
Okay. Do you have like a buy box, like a 3-2, no HOA, no solar, multifamily, anything, buying businesses, boats, vultures?
I'd look at anything here
Okay.
in my market. I don't, probably not a boat, probably not a vulture, but any multifamily, single family home, anything like that. We don't run into too many HOAs around here. So
Okay.
I'm open to take a look at anything.
Nice. Okay. Cool. How about you, Adam?
Yeah, for us, still Iowa. You know, we have about maybe 10, 12 different cities, metro areas that we, you know, have focused on, done some research on. Anything portfolio, you know, if we can buy 10, 12, 50 at a time, if the deal makes sense, we'll do it. Multifamily, you know, typically like we'd like to be in like that 20 to 50 B or C class asset, you know, kind of a value add situation.
Okay.
You know, creative is always a priority. If we can always get in there, you know, we can do so many different things with the deal structure, really creating a win-win. But, you know, if we do have to get in with conventional debt or anything, you know, obviously, you know, we're open to that too, if the deal still makes sense. And then recently have been getting into expanding into some more fix and flips up here in the New England area, specifically Massachusetts. You know, more, you know, up here in New England, all the buildings are old. So it's never post 1970. Like, yeah, you're going to eliminate like 98% of the buildings in New England. But really like 3 beds and up, you know, 1 to 2 bath minimum, you know, is kind of the basic buy box there. But yeah, always looking at deals.
So knowing that it's so old, do you have a lot of problems like with historic buildings and working with like zoning and stuff like that? Is that a problem up in New England?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the town. Like some towns, like, you know, Salem, they have a lot of historic old houses, but typically you'll know that because they'll have it like a plate on the house.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to do your due diligence and do your digging. Obviously, having a TC on the deal, you know, they're going to help find some information there that could be vital. And then, yeah, you definitely run into some interesting houses, you know, being, you know, that old. So the way they're structured, the old school construction, a lot of things. Yeah, it's very interesting up here.
Yeah, I'm sure. I lived in Philadelphia for 2 years, so I know all about that, about Old Town.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of interesting, weird things that you see for sure.
Exactly. But yeah, mostly our buy and hold is we try and keep it more of the investor friendly states. Just, you know, having done it with not so investor friendly states up here in New England, you know, I try and stay away from that.
Sure. Makes sense, right? Like work smarter, not harder. Don't swim upstream like a salmon unless you have to.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Lily? You have any buy and hold states or buy boxes you want to drop?
Yeah, no, just right now, just Massachusetts, but mainly in Boston, which is like super unheard of. So I need to be better. But right now, it's just because I know, you know, I'm from Boston, so it's just easier. But I definitely do need to do more, you know, homework and figure out other states for sure, because Boston is a hard location.
What are your specs, like a 3-2, or do you have like any kind of a specific buy box?
Yeah, so I mean, all of my properties right now are just multifamilies. So just, you know, either 2 families or a triple decker. There's long-term rentals for now. So that's why I am looking, you know, to partner up with someone, right, that like specialize in something different outside of that, whether it's midterm, short term, assistant living type of thing. But I need to be better and do my homework and figure out the next one.
Sweet. Well, let's hop on a call next week and I'll tell you all about where I'm at and what I'm doing, and maybe we can partner up on something.
I love it.
Lady power. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to ask this question to all of you guys. I'm going to start with you, Chuck. what are you doing now and then like later, like what are your goals or what is your business need? Shout it out there. Like where are you going to stay in like a single family in Iowa, or are you expanding? And then your second question is, if someone was on the fence for joining for sub 2 Gator or top tier, what would you say to them if they were teetering on like, yeah, I saw YouTube, I see this guy, he does awesome Zooms, and we have these creative podcasts and everyone's talking about how amazing it is. What would you say to them?
We'll start with absolutely join, trust the community. It is amazing community. I was on the fence just 6 months ago. Something told me to just take the leap of faith, and as soon as I joined, my heart literally dropped into my gut. My wife looked at the credit card bill, and well, she actually told me I would have to cut off the afro if I didn't get a deal within the first 60 days.
Oh, snap.
Which Pace nicknamed the crown, by the way. So the afro is the crown. But without getting a deal, she ended up changing her mind just because of the incredible phone conversations that I was having, the incredible Zooms. I mean, everything about this community was just so giving. Welcomed me with open arms. So join. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good people to connect with. It has been life-changing. And again, I only joined in March, and I was already a realtor. And in fact, on the day we closed the properties of the 6 portfolios, I had another traditional real estate deal close. And just to disclose to everybody, the creative transaction is 100 times better, a lot more fun, a lot more exciting. Check was a lot bigger. Relationships was a lot better. Even though I sold the house, the other house that I sold was the house next door to mine, which is kind of a cool story in itself.
It is cool.
Because I made the news come out because it was all burnt down and stuff, and I brought a lot of attention to it, and they built a new one. So then I sold it. That was fun. What was the first question?
Like, what are you going to branch out from like single family? Like, what are your next steps in your REI journey?
Yep. So next goal, and this would be a lot of the mindset transformation from Clever and Squad Up and really kind of getting a full understanding of everything, is positioning myself to anybody's looking to buy in the Iowa area. I'd be happy to joint venture with you just to get more properties under my portfolio. And then again, to just keep reaching out to different other property managers in the area, Des Moines, Iowa City, trying to extend and grow my network to keep finding deals for guys like Adam and Tim, who text me almost every day, like, what do you got for me? So always trying to work and move. And there's other buyers out there looking for stuff, and just continuing to make friends and network in the sub 2 community. It's been awesome. Everybody here is incredible. I mean, the creative free group is amazing, but once you're a sub 2 student and you're a part of the program, the community, there's just been nothing like it. So take that leap of faith. You won't regret it. And then you get to meet awesome people like Adam and Lily, which a TC is amazing, by the way. I got like a general rule of thumb, like you'll get the email and there'll be like 15 people in the email, and it's like, oh crap, what do you do next? Well, you wait like 20 or 30 minutes, and then the TCs and the escrows, and they'll all start, they'll get the ball moving. And it's like, okay, I didn't do nothing. So,
nice. I love it. That's what's up. And you're still married and you still have your afro.
Still married, still have the afro. I got 4 amazing, beautiful boys. So my oldest is coming up with me in next year in March. Very cool. He's into it now, and he's seeing all the amazing things.
Very cool. Yeah. And I can't stress that enough about TC. Like I started working with a new wholesaler that we hit it off. We talked for a couple hours. We locked up a deal and I was like, wait, where's your TC? Because now I'm having to be the TC. Like, I don't like this. Like, what do you mean? I don't care if it's a simple, like, and then now I'm starting to do it. And I was like, oh, like it is. I'm just like a nurse. I hate paperwork. Just let me I'm a visionary. Although I have integration and different things that I can do, I don't like it. So it's like, yeah, you can make that part of your brain get really big by doing something that you don't like, but why do that if you can just throw some money at the problem and hire someone like Lily? Agree 100%, Chuck. Awesome. How about you, Adam?
Sorry, so what was the question there we're following up on?
You're going to make me remember now the exact verbiage? How dare you?
What's all the fun stuff Chuck had to offer and Lily and Stu? You know, I got lost in the mix.
So basically, if someone was on the fence, what would you say if they wanted to join?
Right.
And then like, what are you doing? Is there anything that you need in your business? And is there anything that you're going to do, like your big, like goal, like far off that you may want to share or maybe not want to share, or like any midterm goals, kind of like short-term, midterm, long-term? Like,
Sure.
Is there anything else that you would need to be more successful?
Sure. I mean, short term, always looking for more deals, more capital. You can never have enough of those if you're going to continue on with real estate.
Right.
Midterm, trying to focus more on, the multifamily, getting deeper in there. And, partly in that would be eventually, leave the W-2, trying to help other people who, like you said, are new students, new real estate students, try and give back in any way I can, that way, I still have that desire to help people understand credit, finance, things like that down the road. And then for people who are on the fence, for me, I want to know why they're on the fence. What is it that's stopping you from taking that jump? Is it the cost? Is it maybe you're introverted? Is it you have no experience? You have imposter syndrome? Could be, a million different reasons. And I think that can be answered, a number of ways. But at the end of the day, you can't think joining the community is going to be a magic potion that is a fix for everything, right? Boom, I'm a real estate mogul. The day I join, it's going to be easy. You have to join for the right reasons. So I would almost kind of do a reverse interview of like saying, listen, this isn't going to be easy. I'd almost talk them down from joining, and find out, do they really have what it takes to take the action, to do everything, to step up to the plate every day and, give back to the community as well. Because, if you go in there with more of a giving attitude than a taking attitude, it will pay itself off. You may not understand it now, but you will.
Agreed. That's great advice. And too, like Haya said, using your strengths from your W-2 to just accentuate and accent and just amplify what you already have and just build on that. Like I bought my first investment, like when I was on the course, I had it in my head on the course of my third half Ironman, 73 miles of swimming, biking, and running. And I just was like, I'm just going to buy a house up here because I love it so much. And I'm just going to figure it out. So I was like the reverse engineering, like, I'm just going to figure it out. I didn't have any exits because I really wasn't even in any mentorships. And so if there's a will, you will find a way. And it's like, yes, it's easy when you have community and you have safety nets, but you have to still put in the work, take action, have a plan, and have smart goals that are measurable and attainable. And like literally our panel right here, you would have everything that you need. Hit up Paul, hit up Lily, hit up Adam, hit up Chuck, hit up me, Haya. And like you have everything like that you need to like guide you along. So don't be like, hit up our inboxes, ask us the questions, because we're all going to be honest and organic and transparent with our experiences. And that's why we're doing this, so they can hear from real people, the nuances, the joys, the ups and downs, the all around. So I love your answer. Good one, Adam. And how about you, Lily? Your cat's still hanging in. It's not getting hangry yet.
Oh, you should really see her face.
Oh, okay. Looks very peaceful, like cats often do before they rip off your face, right?
Yeah. I think to answer the first question, it's I mean, I think it's the best community ever. You should definitely join. Basically just fire your old friends, right? Get new friends. be in the right room, right? I mean, if you're on the fence, that means you're interested in real estate and something along the line. And so you just have to surround yourself with the right people, with the right support. And as long as you have the willpower to get to where you want to, you can definitely get it done. And it's just such a supporting community. So it's so good.
I agree.
And then you learn so much too, right? There's just so much value in there. It's the people, the knowledge that you learn. It's like, I mean, I wish I didn't like spend so much money and still owe money to my student loan, right? It's like, this is a much better investment than that for sure.
Right. Because you're investing in yourself and what your goals are. And, you know, again, you can pair up with someone that doesn't have a W-2 like me, or somebody else that, like, you can find your squad, you can find your people, your weirdos, whatever you want to call them. I'm essentially an orphan. I have like one auntie left and she's 3 hours away. So the people that I choose to have in my life, they're like my family, like my business partner. He's my emergency contact. Like, people know if something happens, call Frank. He knows what to do. Like, this is what we do, and we become family. And like, you can't put a monetary value on those kinds of like, it's not transactional. It's very relational in this group. And that's what I like, you know, like I love about, like, I'll be hitting you guys up like, hey, how's it going over there in Salem? What you doing, Chuck? What you doing, Adam? Paul? Hi, I'm coming to Washington. You have some place to crash? Like, I'm that person. Like, I'm just going to wedge myself into your life if I like you. And that's just how this community is, right? Adam's over there chuckling because he knows, right, what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's awesome. And what do you need in your business, Lily? Is there anything specific that you need to grow and thrive?
I mean, I just love relationship and just, you know, making new friends. So, you know, call me on Instagram. How can I help you? And then, you know, we'll figure out a way to grow together.
Perfect. And I might be sending you over some people that are like, that have contacted me that are on the fence for TC. And so I might connect you with them. Like I said, because someone asked me, well, I have a full-time W-2. And my response was, well, if you're working 9 to 5, how are you going to answer those calls? Like, if you can step away and make that call to the attorney or the escrow processor or open a file, great. But if you can't, then you have to think about, if that was your file, they're like little babies that you want to hand off after their birth. Like, here's your little baby, open up the present, it's clear to close. The 3 words every girl wants to hear is clear to close. I mean, let's be clear there.
Oh, definitely. Send them my way.
All right, cool. And how about you, Haya?
So we are looking to do more investing and acquire more assets. And so we're actually looking at notes right now. So getting interested in buying notes and doing that,
cool.
I guess, more passively. So when I first started in real estate investing, I actually ended up owning 2 condos, and I really didn't enjoy being a landlord, and I've shied away from it since then. But I think I'm branching back in. So we'd look at multifamily deals right now because we want to start to build those assets creatively. Is what we're looking to do with acquiring those assets. And if you want to reach me, because I know Michelle's been asking, I am on Facebook as well, Haya A. Lee-McDonald. I know you can't really see it in my thing here, but you can find me on Facebook, or you can connect with me on Calendly, schedule some time. I just, you know, try not to blast my number out to the whole world, you know, on YouTube. But yeah, find me on Facebook as well, and then we can chat from there. As far as this group, sub 2, you know, some people are going to look at the investment and think, I'm not going to do that, because they're probably looking at it from the perspective of a lot of other programs that they've seen, where you go and you pay this money and you may or may not get what you think you're paying for.
Right.
But this group is more about relationships. And for those of you who want to look at the monetary aspect of it, it's the relationships that bring you way more revenue than you could get on your own. But the relationships, more than the money, it's just so meaningful. I've made friends, you know, in this group. We've done deals together. We've also become friends. And these are people that I know I can count on, I can call upon, we can do business together. And as an entrepreneur, it's really hard to find, you know, you have people around you, but if they're not entrepreneurs, they don't understand. But here you have a community of people, who are so willing and giving of yourselves. You guys probably hear it a lot that, you know, it's a community of givers. It's not a cliche, it's true. And it really starts at the top with Pace. He's just, truly a giving person. What I've paid for this mentorship or this community, and what I've gotten is easily 10 times worth what I paid here. And just the benefit of it all. And so if somebody's on the fence, I would think about not just the current expense, and of course you do have to be mindful of that if you really can't afford it.
Right.
But the saying goes, if you want something badly enough, you're going to find a way. When I first started investing, I had $1 and there was a 30-day trial to learn it. I was like, well, I guess I have to figure this out in 30 days. So you do what you have to do. And if this is a place where, if you really want to grow, this is the place to do it. Find a way to make it work.
Love it. And then think about your friends, and you can go in on the mentorship. There's payment plans that you can do, feel free to, reach out to one of us, because there's different ways to go about it too. And if you bring another person, that's even better. And to circle back to what you said, Haya, about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, that's so important, because you can't tell your $1 million dream to a dollar store employee. So they just don't understand like what we go through. And so in order to not have those negative naysayers in your ear and on your shoulder, you need to be surrounded by people like Paul, Chuck, Adam, Lily, and yourself, like that know the struggles. That so when you start circling the drain, like I'm gonna, like, I don't know how many times a week, like I forget this, I'm just gonna forget it. It's too, and then it's like, it's great again. It's like that, right? And like sometimes you might feel a little cuckoo doodle, like I do, and it's just like, but if you don't know that, then you question yourself. And so it's so important to have a community of like-minded people to support you through the ups and downs. So that's right. That's an amazing answer. And yeah, you can get her information right down there, and it's on YouTube. So you can always like scroll up and take a screenshot and blow it up. So Paul, let's go over to you. You're on mute, Paul.
I just want to echo what everyone else is saying about the community aspect, the networking aspect of this community. It's amazing. Join a team, find a team of like-minded people that you're compatible with, and join that team. I just do acquisitions. I don't, I've always been kind of a lone wolf type, figure everything out, do everything myself. And I'm on the team. All I do is knock doors. I knock doors and cold call, but mostly just knock doors.
God bless you.
Since April, and just pre-foreclosures, it's all I focus on. Since April, counting the deal we just talked about, which was a door knock, generated about $500,000 in wholesale fees. Now I've shared this with other people, right? Haya and Gustavo, and then so the people on my team who've helped me. We have a transaction coordinator, so I don't need to know how to do that. We have a dispo person. I don't need to know how to do that. And I'm learning these things as I go, right? But I had to hurry. I had to generate deals. And so I just started trying to generate leads, and didn't need to know all that other stuff that would have slowed me way down. It was an emergency, right? In my life, it was, my finances was an emergency situation. I had to get out there and get to it. And so, pick your niche and do it, and get good at it. And today by the end of the day, we should have 2 more properties under contract that I found. Got 2 more that I'm working on that should be more. And so it's going really well. Get out there and do the thing. And if you're on the fence, get off of it. Just join the community, find people to help you, and within a very short period of time, you'll have a deal if you work at it.
Yeah.
And then what do I? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and like Haya, crush through that fence or just jump over it. Find a solution around it, right? Cut a hole in it. I don't know. Take out a piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And hey, Paul, I'm gonna reach out to you, Paul, here shortly, because I'm gonna knock a few doors for the first time on some pre-foreclosures for a buyer that I got this weekend. So I'm a little nervous because I've never really went this route, but by any means. Yeah. So I'll reach out to you and got a few questions.
Yeah, absolutely, do that. And I went to a wealth summit here in DC a while back, and somehow Gustavo was on a panel, and then someone on my team was on a panel, and I was in the room, and somehow I got pulled in because I was involved in deals with both sides of this panel. And so then everybody's coming up to me, how do you do it? How do you knock doors? So I've been talking to a lot of people about how to knock doors. So
Nice.
and I'm always a little nervous. You know, you never know what you're going to find. But you go up, you're humble. When you knock on the door, you're humble. You tell them I'm here to help. And generally I get a pretty decent reception. You know, I get a few people who yell at me and tell me to get off their step. But for the most part, it's a good experience. And I way prefer that to cold calling. Nice.
Yeah, and there's different ways. You can always have like sticky notes. Like I've seen people like do kind of controversial, like, "Hey, I'm pregnant, call me," or "Hey, I'm your whatever." I'm like, "Oh, have you guys seen those memes too?" It's just like, "Hey, call me, I'm like, "Oh wow, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with that strategy," but yeah, door knock. And that's the thing. Like you said, join a team. There's ways to get in. Like there's the free money beat challenges that are held, the elephant challenge. Someone's always doing a challenge. So if you're ever on the fence, well, join in when these free challenges. And that's a way for you to organically meet people, meet your team, like Paul, that just does acquisitions, but that in itself is a job because there's so many ways to make money in real estate. You can do acquisitions, dispo, you can close, you can capital raise or consult, you can private money lend, you can be superhero Lily, TC, you can buy notes like Haya, you can be Chuck taking down portfolios as property management, you can be like Adam, hey, I'll fix your credit. Like there's ways that you can leverage your skills to find that niche that Paul was talking about. So great advice about joining a team. That's amazing. Any other nuggets that you guys want to drop before we close this up? Crickets?
No, I'm good. No, one thing I guess I would close with is probably there's fear, because I talked to a lot of people who are new to the real estate investing space or whatever. There's a lot of fear, but there's that saying that goes, if you have fear, just do the action anyway. Be mindful of it. Don't let it stop you. And same with, being a part of this community, or even if you're not, just going out and starting that journey in real estate. Do something.
Right.
Action is worth a whole lot more than just sitting there thinking about it.
Yes, I love that. And shout out to Pace and the whole Morbia team for making this possible and opening these opportunities for us to thrive and to grow and to meet one another. Like I haven't met Chuck, Paul, Lily, or Haya or Adam before today. And I've been in sub 2 Gator and top tier for like just under a year. And I mean, I'm just meeting these guys. I saw his afro at like, at Squad Up, but that's about it. Like it was like like I was like it was a lot, so I just kind of like networked really close with certain people. But that's the thing, is you never know who your next deal is going to be. And then also you might meet people and you might not ever do a deal with them. Like I have people that I'm talking and speaking and collaborating with and connecting with for over a year, and we've never closed, but we're always there. So thank you guys for joining us today. If you have any deals and want to be featured on here, please feel free to email Taya, Taya, at pacemorby.com so we can talk to you and see what you've been doing in the community. So thanks so much, guys, for joining us today. Everybody, you can reach them at their respectable names and numbers and handles and all that good stuff. So we'll bring Alex back on and we will see you next time.
All right. Hopefully you all can hear me well. I wish you all a good evening wherever you're at. And thank you so much for spending time. You provided so much value for everybody that was here. So hopefully you can make some really great connections out of this.
Thank you.
Yes, for sure.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you next time.
See ya.